I'll have to tell that to my therapist next time I see her.
Thing is, I think we're all so afraid of failure. We're all so afraid of falling flat on
Yeah.
our face. And then everyone out there, the gurus, are going like, oh, you just stand up, I'll do it again.
Something that I learned into, which is, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling stressed out, fine. In 2 weeks, make up your mind and start doing things.
There's this tricky balance between really carefully planning and overthinking everything and then actually starting.
I think that should kind of come organically, that at some point you feel it and you just go. Can't be paralyzed by fear. You can't be paralyzed by things that are happening.
What if the new age of creativity is in co-creation with AI?
I think the biggest misconception here with AI is that we live in a kind of a bubble, especially those on LinkedIn or in the industry, and where AI is a hot topic. It's not a hot topic for most people in the world, but for us, it's a hot topic. We need to change the way we do things. We have to change the way we create. I think we, as the creative kind of in the creative space, know this. For sure, a lot of things are going to stick with AI because, there's some things that it just does faster and the quality is good enough. But it's super, super difficult to get what you want because AI doesn't help you create exactly what you're thinking of. It'll quickly help you create some variation of that.
Welcome and thank you so much for your time. I'm going
my
to
pleasure.
introduce you and hopefully I will do a good job of pronouncing your name. Is Wojtek Jeżowski.
Yes, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Wonderful. And you're a director, producer, and a filmmaker with over 15 years of expertise in film and television sector. And you're also a CEO and creative director of BlackRabbit production company.
Yeah, that sounds serious.
It sure does.
That's how serious you are. No.
Yeah.
What a wonderful journey. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My
Yeah.
pleasure.
We are really ready to pick your brain on so many topics.
I'm ready as well. Yeah.
And
Okay.
we want to start right from the beginning, from your childhood. You said that then you look back now. What really drew you to filmmaking in the first place? Do you remember something that clearly pops up in your brain when you think about yourself as a child?
I think it was Star Wars, basically. Yeah, I
Mm.
think that was kind of it. And yeah, it's kind of hard to pinpoint. I remember Star Wars was a big influence. I was probably in grade school, probably 6, 7, 8, and that was something, I want to try. I didn't know what that is, but I wanted to see what happens. And and I'm, partly that, partly I joined a theater group in primary school, not because I wanted to act or, be in movies, but there was a girl I liked and I wanted to be there. And it kind of stayed with me for a while. And I remember in grade school, I was more into FX. So I would be, I'd have some Play-Doh or putty, and I would be doing like lesions or bullet holes on on the skin and paint it red with something and try to make it look you know, like uh, like makeup effects, right? And I kind of started learning about or understanding how this entire process works and at some point I think in middle school, I had this idea, right? Like being a director of photography could be cool. I was a bit into photography then. Um, and that was my kind of first real concept of trying that, of applying to a film school and trying to go down that path. It's, you know, um, needless to say, I didn't go down that path. Yeah.
Well, you talked about that you went to the open for a test day at the
Yeah.
National Film School, right?
Yeah.
And but decided not to stay because the vibe didn't feel right. It was a little bit off for you.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, like, I mean, I think that's pretty strong, having this desire, then being in the school. And for most of us, we're like, you have to stay there and da da da. But you were strong enough to just walk away.
Well, that's an interesting way of putting it. I haven't thought about that before. Um, I think there were a lot of things, and I'll have to tell that to my therapist next time I see her.
Please do.
Yeah, because this is good. This is something new. No, I think I was more, and this is something that I'm working on right now. I was kind of not sure about, uh, my abilities, not sure about, not confident enough in meeting people. I was kind of shy. I didn't like meeting new people. I didn't know how to small talk. I didn't know how to do that. Having friends was something that I struggled with. So this was something, I was pushing myself, but this was something different. But anyway, like in a sense, I remember the open day was that you bring in your best work as photo prints, and you talk about them and kind of that in a group. And I remember I was experimenting with some photos I liked, it was nice things. Um, but um, but when I arrived there, I was shocked to see that that was a different league, right? I didn't know what I was getting into.
Mm.
People would be bringing out these handmade, black and white prints, 1 meter by 1 meter, and they would be explaining their artistic vision behind it, and it was just, black and white blobs of stuff. And the professors were like, "Oh, yeah, this is interesting." I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I'm not saying that I was amazing. I had, my photos were uh, average at best, back then. And if I, from, knowing what I know now, if I was a teacher and somebody would come up with these things, I would say, yeah, no, that's not gonna fly. But at the same time, that kind of showed me um, how this world works, right? Because the film school is kind of a miniature version of the industry, either filmmaking industry or the commercial filming industry,
Mhm.
and and yeah, and stuff like that. But uh, and that kind of stuck with me, and I still have the same issues, or I had the same issues. I'm working on them still after all these years about how clients, how agencies buy you, why they buy you, why they hire you for specific things. And I think the way my career kind of evolved over the years is a reflection of how of that situation. Because I remember a producer, a producer friend from an agency told me a couple years ago, listen, because I was always struggling with why I'm not picked as the director as often as I would like to be, right? Why am I not even invited to pitches and stuff like that? Or why don't I win pitches? And she said a very simple thing. Um, the creatives from the agency don't feel that you're in awe of them, more or less.
Oh.
Because I would come in and I would basically have my own version of how I would do it. And I was like, yeah, we could do this probably faster, cheaper if we don't do this and this and that. Whereas the people who win, it's like, oh my God, this is the best idea ever. I'm so thrilled I can work with you. Oh my God, what do you think about we do this? So it's not that they don't have the same ideas and I am. It's just a different way of speaking, of selling, of PR basically, which I don't necessarily have at that level, and I never wanted to have at that level, to be honest.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of that, I think. Yeah.
May I ask you, because this resonates with me so much, what you've shared with like coming to school and not feeling particularly well with a
Mm,
small talk, and also
yeah.
not being great with making friends and have an alternative way of, I don't know, seeing life and seeing the communication probably.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. And then what gave you the strength to just make it your way and basically still being in this industry and
Um,
not giving in? Even now, what you mentioned that you go to the speeches, or even if you're not
yeah.
invited ever so often, you've never changed yourself because that doesn't really resonate with you the way they do it.
Yeah, again, I wouldn't say I'm happy about that.
Okay.
I probably would love to uh be able to sell myself better. I
Mm.
um and sometimes it works, sometimes I'm able to, and sometimes I'm not. And that's it. Um but I don't know. I kind of I think, and again, that's another thing for my therapist. I think that my career kind of wasn't special. That I had, I felt I had support from my family, from my parents. So I knew that if something, you know, falls falls off and something's not totally wrong, I have a backup, or at least for a while, that I won't die, from
Mm.
starvation, or that I'll have to live on the street in a sense. So that gave me, and maybe that's a false sense of security that I kind of didn't feel the need to kind of do that, what we are talking about. But my career was kind of different. I was experimenting as you should do in your 20s. Probably knowing what I know now, I'd say I should have done more of experimenting and doing stuff. But I started working very quickly in as a news producer in a television station in this kind of 24-hour news channel in Poland.
Mm.
And that was a huge thing for me because the first day on the job as an intern, I was supposed to, ring up the, I don't know, presidential palace and, coordinate some sort of, cruise and stuff like that. And at that time, I was afraid of calling. I
Oh,
didn't like
That's
calling.
that's a crash course on
whoa,
communication.
Yeah, that
that
was
is
like, you have
intense.
to, you got to do that.
That's
And,
intense.
and what I figured out, what was incredible and what changed me was that I saw that when I call and I say, hello, this is Wojtek Jeżowski from TVN24, that was kind of powerful. That was power.
Mm.
When you said that TVN24, suddenly, you were considered um, like something important, right?
So like doors
Um,
opened just by saying,
kind
yeah.
of like in the sense that I had to like I was trying to, again, sell something,
Mm.
but it was trying to coordinate, you know, something, or inviting, a minister to a show, and it wasn't a challenge. It was just
Mm.
that you called and they didn't know I was like 23, had no idea what I'm doing. It was just that this little thing that I said. Um, so that after a while, that gave me, more confidence, and that's one of the best things that I learned there is now I can, call anybody and at least call and, try to talk, right? The talking bit is difficult, more difficult, but I don't have that little panic when I
Mm.
try to call somebody important, or when I'm speaking with somebody important, with a CEO, or somebody that is in a on a high level at some point. I
Would
don't
you,
feel intimidated too much
would
because
you,
of that. Because I remember I would
you
be calling
trained?
I would be calling the prime minister on his cell, saying,
Whoa.
"Hello, Mr. Prime, can you comment on this
Whoa.
and this and this?" And that kind of after like a year of that, doing that nonstop, that kind of stuck, right? So
The
that was
average
fun.
Friday calling the minister.
It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
we're best friends. That is
It
boot
was
camp.
exactly.
You know what I mean? That is
Oh
Yeah.
boot camp
yeah,
in communication.
yeah.
Also boot camp in like, I don't know. It's so does that mean because it sounds like you or the feeling I get that you're more like an introvert, you were?
Oh yeah,
Can
yeah.
I
I'm
say
still,
that?
I
Yeah, you're
still
still
am
there.
in a
Yeah.
sense. There are some situations where I'm totally an introvert, an introvert.
Yeah.
There are some where I'm not.
So
But it's again, I struggled with that for a while and another therapist way long ago said that who said you can't be both, right? Who said
Mm.
that
right.
in some situations you want to be alone and it's too much for you, and in some situations you're open, you're friendly, and because
100%.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
and I
Thank
was
you for
like,
saying
really?
that. Yeah.
It's
I
I'm
called
can do
still that.
both.
ambivert, I think. They say
I can
now
do
that,
both.
yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
and so I know that, at some point in the party, I just lock myself in a bathroom and watch YouTube, and that's it. And after 15 minutes, I have more energy and I can do more
Oh my
stuff, right?
God, I do that. I thought it was crazy. I am at a
Oh, it is.
party
It is.
and
Well,
I'm
to be
wearing
honest,
this
it is
beautiful
crazy.
dress, and then I go into this broom closet or something, just close the door, and I'm like, breathe, like toilet or something. I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna be here a little bit. I'm
No,
just gonna breathe. Just
that's
gonna
super
breathe.
normal. Uh,
Wow, thank you
I,
for
I do
my
it right
my
on
normalizing
the
it.
sport. I just
my
detach from the thing, go into my mind, and I'm just okay. I'm just gonna be in my happy place for like 5 minutes, and then I go
yeah,
back
yeah.
into like talking to people.
No, there are situations where it's more, and for example, my wife is like on the other side of the spectrum. She's like the
Mm.
super extrovert, and for some reason, people mix like that, get married, introverts and extroverts. I have no idea why, but and how that works. But for a while, she was shocked what I would be, disappearing from a party and just kind of. But I hope she understands now that this is how it works because it is difficult to, I still have issues where, uh, you know, she wants to go out and party and stuff like that. And I'm like, why? Why? We have a nice home now. Can't we just stay and watch TV or whatever? Like, but that's the thing, you know.
Mm. But I think like you did another rebellious thing there, which you told us is probably not the best business decision yet. You made the
No.
choice, and you know what I'm talking about. You
Yeah,
started
yeah,
a
yeah.
production company without
Yeah,
clients.
so after the news, I spent 3 years in the news channel, and I was like, at some point, the team I was in, we were like superstars because we lived through a couple of huge crisis events,
Mm.
where news stations, that's what crisis events are for. That's where everybody watches the news.
Mm.
Huge stuff where we after that we came out on top and said, ah shit, we can do anything now. We're like, nothing is like, so that was the vibe that I was kind of at. But again, news was fun, but I wanted to do more of that kind of filming, and I wanted to move into documentary filming in that station. And after a long discussion with a lot of people, they said that they don't want me to move to the documentary kind of division. They want me to stay. So I said, all right, so I'm gonna just leave, right?
Mm.
And then I was just freelancing. I was editing, I was directing, I was shooting different stuff from corporate, videos, how you start, to some television programs. And and that was that. And after a while, me and my friends kind of came up with the idea, hey, let's start a company. Not that we had either a experience or the need. Well, there was a need because it was hard to get work as a freelancer if you didn't invoice. back then, right? Now it's kind of more easy. You have all of these online financial tools which help, freelancers do that. But if I wanted to work and do a corporate video for a company, they wanted an invoice, and and I would have to pay the crew and stuff and stuff and stuff, and other people, and that would be very difficult or borderline illegal if I did it on a I don't know the English equivalent of it, but like my personal contract, right?
Mhm.
So after a while, that sound appealing. Let's do a company we can invoice. So we started a company, the three of us. We had different experiences, so we thought that's going to be, good. I had creative experience. We had a production manager, and the third person was an not an accountant. It was a account manager from an advertising agency, right? So we thought, all right, this mix will will work. Um, and on paper it was a great idea, but we started the company, and once we launched the company, it was like, all right, what next? We need clients. So no, if somebody's looking and watching and listening to this, don't do that way. Start with clients first. Start with having relationships and having the work kind of there, and then say, all right, I have this company. Okay, let's do work, right?
Mhm.
Instead of starting a company and just waiting for things to happen and sending out and cold calling and emailing people you barely know to get some work, right? So it took a while for us to actually be able to live off of our company. I think it took 2, 3 years until we were able to quit our day jobs to focus on that solely.
Which is what I've, know and heard is that that's a pretty healthy way. Like, I mean, you said it's not healthy to start without the customers. Okay,
Yeah,
I got it. The clients, I got it. But that it takes like 2, 3 years, that is a normal range for a
I
company
think,
to grow.
yeah.
It's pretty good, to be honest, even.
Um, Again, I have no, I don't know. I mean, I think so. I know that it could be, I know people who, and I think this is the way you should do it. If you work at an agency or you work at a company, if you're or a production company and you work there long enough, you get to have connections and you have to get, you're building that network. And once you decide that you're starting your own business, you have that network to leverage, right? Either for clients or partners or employees or just whatever, right? And that's healthy. And that can still take you 2 years to,
Mm.
or a year to do that. But we didn't have that. I mean, we had a very we whoops, sorry about that. I forgot to turn off my phone. And so so I think that's how you should do it instead of trying to start from scratch and being on the hot seat and not being able to fall back on your network. I think that's the most difficult thing. And I think that's the only regret I might have is that I didn't build that network before we started.
Mm. Okay.
It's
Also,
one thing, sorry, can I mention just one thing? It's an interesting balance between, because we here in Ambitiously Intelligence are for starting before you're ready. And I think that's what maybe you did as well. But there is this tricky balance between really carefully planning and overthinking everything and like having
Mm,
clients, like preparing everything, network, and then actually starting. So that's something that I think everyone struggles. But maybe when
yeah.
you start, if you not everything is exactly at your disposal, then it kind of keeps you on your toes and keeps you kind of mass forward. So you're trying to
Yeah.
do more, trying to
Well,
do it in a faster, better way.
I can imagine that there might be some people who don't want to start their own thing because they think that their network is not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And maybe that's the issue here. What you're saying about is that they don't know what to do. How
Yeah.
they're second guessing themselves. Should I start now or maybe Um, so no, I think that that should kind of come organically. That at some point you feel it and you just go instead of having a number of contacts in an X in a spreadsheet saying, oh, if I have this amount of contacts, I'm going to start my own company. That I don't think that's going to work.
Okay, so what you were taught, I mean, it feels like it was the drive for you because you
Mm.
started without anything. You were like, okay, this we have to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm up to, and even now, I'm up to taking risks and trying new things, which is good
Mm,
in running a business and trying stuff. I think you have to have, you can't be paralyzed by fear. You can't be paralyzed by things that are happening because there will be bad things happening to you or to the company or to the world, and you have to kind of react. It doesn't mean you have to, it's not like you're a stockbroker that if you don't react in 5 seconds, you're going to lose $100 million. So let's not pretend that it's that level of hardcore. So you have to be able to work around it. You have to know that um, uh, something that I learned into, which is, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling stressed out, fine, be stressed out for a couple of days, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be, I don't know, you have to be kind of, killing yourself that, oh my
mm,
God, I'm too stressed. No, be stressed, right? But, and take your time, if in a week, if in 2 weeks, make up your mind and start doing things, right? It doesn't
mm,
have to be instantaneous. There will be I think from my experience, there'll be very little or few situations where you're on a hot seat and you have to make a life or death decision in a second. Like in business, it maybe, maybe Elon Musk has that. But
Mm.
in let's say regular kind of business, regular stuff, that rarely happens. And even if it does, your experience should help you. Like you should know if you can do something or not. Like we're pitching um, to a big media company now, an idea for micro dramas. I don't know. Have you guys heard that?
mm-hmm,
This Chinese craze that's taking over the world, and it's
mm-hmm.
great. I want to do something else, and I want to make money. Finally, so let's say, so I pitched them the idea, and they're very interested in kind of talking about that all the time. And we're doing different versions of scheduling, of budget and stuff like that. And at one point they're saying, "Hey, will you be able to do 40 of these a year?" Right? I'm like, "Yeah, and I'm not, and this yeah is kind of based on that we already did so many different variations over the past weeks that I kind of know. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure we can do it, and that's enough. So, and again, it's still not like, you know, it's a stamp of approval. It's just conversations, but you have to be able to be confident enough to say either yes or no.
You also talked about that you've learned so much from fuck ups
Mm,
and interpersonal fuck ups.
yeah,
Like, where can you tell a story about that? Like, because the thing is, I think we're all so afraid of failure. We're all so afraid of falling flat on
yeah.
our face. And then everyone out there, the gurus are going like, oh, you just stand up and, walk again, do it again. But like, how have you grown
I
and learned from your fuck ups?
I'm still growing and learning that. And there are some fuck ups that I know I fucked up, but I
Mm,
still do them, right?
mm.
Because of things. That's why I haven't go to therapy. But
We all do, by the way. A lot of us.
um, like it's kind of, I don't know, hard for me to pinpoint exactly one single fuck up that I can imagine. I mean,
But maybe I
they're
can
like
ask you. May I
they're
ask you
like yeah, sure.
what have they like taught you about trust and collaboration, for example?
Mm, well, for example, that um, look, okay, so for me, the biggest types of fuck ups are interpersonal fuck ups
Mm-hmm.
because as we talked about, how I went to the film school and how I still have this I think issue with making friends and stuff like that. So, when I'm hiring people, I know after years that I'm probably biased and I'm looking for people that I like and they'll like me, right? Instead of, oh, they're the best person to do the job,
Of
right?
course.
And so I know that that's a fuck up. So for example, when I'm hiring, I try to make that clear in my head that I have this issue and I, try to have different questions. For example, I was hiring somebody for a position years ago, and I said to them, "Hey, do you know English? Can you speak English?" Yeah, okay. Oh, that's great. Instead of, all right, let's talk now in English for the next 5 minutes, and let's see if you do that. And that's a fuck up because the first time we had a English speaking client, that person started talking, and I was like, oh shit, that's not the level I was hoping for. So that's a fuck up. And so now I know that, all right, if I do that, I'll just start talking English and we'll see what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still for me, for example, why did I do that? Because it feels silly. Like I feel
Mm.
kind of stupid for saying, hey, let me check your English and let's start talking to you. So,
I
you know,
understand that so
so
much. It like
so
puts you in
some
this awkward spot of
yeah, it is very
testing a
awkward.
person.
And like, I do listen to a lot of I mean, I'm on TikTok way too many times. So I get all of these gurus there here and there. But one of those guys, he's a funny character, but the more I listen to him, he has some points. I don't know, it's
Mm.
that guy who has that chain of gyms in the US. He's that always in a tank top, long
Wait, I think I know.
hair,
Yeah, I remember
and he
him.
used to have this thing on his nose all the time. And, whatever. But he said, and I agree that if you want to be like, if you're super ambitious and if you want to be super successful in whatever capacity that you think success is, the first thing you have to do is you have to not feel stupid. Like
Mm.
to be ambitious and to achieve things, you have to do a lot of stupid things that will
Mm.
feel stupid. You have to go out there and be the idiot who asks the stupid questions, who doesn't take no for an answer, who, feels like a dick sometimes, right? Who is a dick? Who is an asshole?
Yeah.
And you have to be good and you have to be able to do that without thinking about yourself, oh, that's stupid. I'm not gonna ask that person if they know English. I'll trust them, right? Because that's gonna make me feel better at the
Mm-hmm.
moment, but in the long run, it's gonna suck because, you know. So those are the fuck ups that I, you know, talk about. I mean, there are a lot of technical fuck ups that happened because I know I thought we will be able to film 15 scenes in a day, and it turns out that we're able to do 10, but I thought we could do 15. And so, there are a lot of things that you learn and I mean, there was a thing that we were filming a science fiction video for a client, and I said, yeah, we can do it in 2 days. And I did like super, we had super everything prepared, the storyboards and blah 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 blah. And by the middle of second day, we were kind of halfway done. And
Mm.
like, shit, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that, right? But and that's again, that problem was that I didn't have enough qualified people around me to tell me,
Mm.
hey, but this shouldn't be there, right? We won't be able to do it. I had some people for different individual tasks that did their tasks very well. I didn't have anybody to talk about, the schedule, if it's possible or not, right? And so that's a fuck up that I know. And we made it work. It was we stayed till 6 the following morning, and I had to pay everybody overtime and extra, but we made it work. I Fortunately, I didn't lose money on that. I didn't make too much money on that either, but that's something I know now, right?
Mm-hmm.
For what not to do. So I mean, there's plenty of those, and I think the technical fuck ups are easy to fix.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, they're
Mm.
easier. The interpersonal fuck ups, the people management fuck ups are more difficult because even if you know something's a fuck up, it's still very hard to change.
True. I guess for those fuck ups, this is exactly how you learn because you're also like self-taught in
Mhm.
everything. So this is your level of ambition to, do things.
True, but there's a caveat to that. It takes more time that way.
Yeah.
It takes more time and energy. Whereas if I'd have gone to that film school, I probably would know how the industry works or how the film set works or why I need to do X, Y, and Z a couple of years earlier than I would have known, my regular way. And that would have
Mm.
saved me probably some troubles along the way, right?
Mm. I want to ask you about AI. Is it of any help at your work? And also to maybe debunk a little bit of a myth because there is a common theory that AI is going to take over the industry and that
Yeah.
the rate that it's been developing is humongous, which is, we spoke with you a bit earlier. It's not entirely true because there are some issues with that. And
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of issues with AI. Um, and although I'm not saying that AI is gonna take our jobs in the next year or two, that doesn't mean it won't.
Mhm.
I think the biggest misconception here with AI is that, we live in a kind of a bubble, especially those on LinkedIn or in the industry, and where AI is a hot topic.
Mm.
It's not a hot topic for most people in the world, but for us, it's a hot topic. And and we see those, and we see those new experiments and how it works, and we're just, oh my God, that's amazing and stuff. And to be frankly, it is. And I used to get bummed out once every 2 months when something new came out, like, oh shit, well, there goes now it's more or less so. It's not, I don't get bummed out too much because I started experimenting with AI. I started doing things with AI to, as experiments or part of our projects that we need a couple of shots that we couldn't get, and we do that, or that I do a short ad within AI and using that, or just doing different things. And and once you do enough of those, you know that I don't want to say trash, but it's super, super difficult to get what you want. It's crazy how, I mean, it can generate amazing things, true. But if you really want to get that level of, and I don't mean consistency of how the faces, that doesn't matter. But if you want to be able, as a director, as a client, or as a producer, to have control over every aspect of that frame, you have to let go of it if you want to do AI. Because AI doesn't help you create exactly what you're thinking of.
Mhm.
It'll quickly help you create some variation of that. And it's not perfect according to you, right? That's why when we see all these amazing videos online, they're usually science fiction, they're usually something totally abstract or crazy that would have taken a huge amount of money to make in the real world, like explosions or tens of thousands of people in the party or something weird, right? And sure, it helps with that. And I've seen some amazing work by some amazing people, but still, when I speak to industries here in Poland, and it's probably very similar in everywhere else, um, is that clients aren't so keen to start doing AI. I mean, most serious advertising agencies and most serious production houses have invested in AI and they have AI show reels. Oh, we can do this, we can do this, and it looks amazing, blah blah blah. But for some reason, we're not seeing this kind of influx of AI generated TV ads or social media ads. And I think there's a reason for it because the clients, the commercial clients, have a need for control of everything,
Mhm.
right? When we do a TV commercial, they'll be changing the decision up until the last moment of the shoot. Oh, let's have this actor, oh, maybe the different colored skirt and something like that. And let's change this, let's change this. I don't like this, I don't like that on the set. Oh, I didn't like this, how she blinked her eye or whatever,
Mm.
right? And sure, AI can do that for you. I mean, if you say, I don't like that blink in the eye, you can say it and AI will change it, but it'll also change something else at the same time, right? Something very little that you didn't want it to change. And trying to make it change only the tiny little things that you want and not change the other things consistently, that's the issue. Right. So even this new Sora 2 came out and everybody's like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Mhm.
I tried it. Sure, it in a couple of some shots look cool, but
Mm.
if I want to do a commercial and I want to do what I want in my head, it's not giving it to me, right? And I need to spend one day of just experimenting with prompts and versions and stuff like that to get something that's close to, my image. So, what I'm saying is that it's not that easy as people think. To get to that level of control and quality that the people with money are accustomed to, basically, right?
Okay.
Because making a funny video for your online channel, yeah, you can do it in 5 minutes. That's not a problem. The problem is if somebody's paying you to do that and and they're expecting something very specific. That's when you kind of hit a brick wall and maybe you're lucky or maybe tens of different a lot of different combinations of prompts and models and you can work around that. But that's not for everyone. So
Mm.
let's not pretend that uh, in 2 years, somebody's gonna say to Netflix, I want to see a movie about XYZ, and in 5 minutes there'll be a 90-minute rendering of that idea. That's not gonna happen. That's not, at least not yet.
That's good.
And I think that for a long time, I think I mean, we're talking about, I mean, we're experimenting, we're talking about making or ads or TV series or movies with AI. And just apart from let's say, the quality and whatever, it takes a lot of time, right? I mean, you can make, a five-person team can make a 60-second ad in a week, probably with AI, right? That's like ish. And because it's a rush job or something like that, probably normally they probably want to make more, longer. And there's some great teams in the States that do that. And their stuff
Mm.
is amazing. But that's just for 1 minute, right? So that's 1 week for 1 minute. So if you need 90 minutes, that's 90 weeks. How much is 90 weeks? That's
Mm.
over a year, I think, right?
Mhm.
A year has what, 72 weeks, right?
Mm.
So to make one 90-minute rendering you need 90 weeks to do. And that's without anything like, and that's nonstop work, right? So you can imagine after week 70, people are gonna start shooting themselves in the head, right? Because and sure, animations and movies, movies are made usually in, 2 years, maybe 3 years. Animations like Pixar is done like 5 years. And sure, it's faster, but I don't think that's a viable option yet. I mean,
Mm.
it's still taking too long. It's still taking a lot of people to do that,
Mm.
and it's still experimenting. It's still trying out different things and seeing if it's working, if it's not working. And so I don't think anybody's willing to risk that amount of money to do. I mean, I know that there's talk, oh, there's somebody made a AI actress or somebody's making an AI
Yeah,
feature. Like,
right.
yeah, go ahead, like do it. I mean,
Have fun.
there were a lot of movies that were done in 3D goggles. Like, yeah, they why, nobody's watching 3D movies right now, right? So
No, that's true.
so that's a thing that everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon because it's new, it's different, so they want to use that. Let's see what's gonna stick. For sure, a lot of things are gonna stick with AI. Uh, because I mean, there's some things that it just does faster and the quality is good enough. The question becomes when good enough is not enough, when you need perfect, right? That's kind of
Mm.
when you start to run into trouble, because that's what the people with the money or the big money want from you. They want perfect.
Yeah, may I
Mhm.
ask you something? Because your company, you shifted toward B2B tech
Yeah,
space, in the tech space.
yeah.
Are the clients there more open to this experimenting with AI?
You'd be surprised, but no.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Why was the because I what I'm fascinated about in
Hmm.
your story and how you navigate this film industry and always kind of find your way, and it feels like you are. I know you said it's slower sometimes. You felt maybe it would have been better if you would have, went to school or
Hmm.
whatever. But for me, it feels very intuitive. And it feels like you kind of pivot the right moments in the right time. And did it feel like that with the B2P? Is that the
Um,
reason?
um, yes and no. I think after a while, I noticed that most of our clients are in B2B tech anyway, right?
Mm,
So, and back then we were communicating ourselves as this creative production studio, and we didn't look any different from the hundreds of companies out there, right? So we said, all right, let's give this a shot. Let's focus more officially on this because we're still working with these clients for years, right? So it was just the things that, all right, these are the clients that are flocking to us for some reason. Let's just focus on that. Um, but to answer, yeah, your previous question, um, it's the smaller companies, at least that I have experience with, the smaller brands that are open to AI stuff, right?
mm,
Because they want to stretch that budget as much as they can. Whereas the bigger clients, I don't think they actually care. They care about control,
Mm.
right? They care about I have a client where they're deciding for the past 3 weeks, they're deciding if the highlights in this glass animation should be blue, purple, or gray. And that's what they're talking about for 3 weeks, and they can't decide, right? So if that would and we're still giving them like showing them options, right? If it would be AI, they would still be getting options,
mm,
probably, but it doesn't change the fact that it would be as as long,
Mm.
you know, and each time they change the color, something else might be changing as well, because you don't know if that's going to happen or not. So I think, yeah, the big clients, even if we pitch them that, hey guys, it's faster, it's cheaper, and you get some cool stuff, we didn't we saw that it wasn't a selling point for them
Mm. Got it.
for some reason, you know.
May I ask you a bit of a philosophical maybe question? And maybe
Ooh,
it's not either or. It's just
yeah.
the way how we perceive the issue of control in
Hmm.
the age of AI. Maybe because we see it as a tool, as something that has to kind of do our bidding. That's
Hmm.
the issue, that we want to control every single detail and kind of do give it a specific task and see how well it does. And if it's not, just give a course correction. And then if it doesn't behave the way we want, then, you know, what if the new age of creativity is in co-creation with AI? Is it a scary thought to you? Is it something that we don't understand yet? Do you think it just requires a shift of perspective from us? Or do you think AI is not at this level that it can co-create? Because
I
sometimes it does like
yeah.
some random things and you just don't understand like what the heck, like why we ended
So
up this
yeah,
here.
I think it's not a straightforward answer. I think there are some places where AI you can co-create with AI, and I've used ChatGPT for years now, and with coming up with ideas with scripting. And if I'm stuck somewhere, I throw it into ChatGPT. Hey, I'm having trouble with coming
Hmm.
up with this idea or this text. I know this character to be XYZ or whatever. Give me 10 options, right? And it gives me 10 options. And I can say, oh, give me 10 more. And it gives me 10 more. And I say, oh, this one is cool. Let's give me variations of that cool thing, right? And gives me some variations.
Hmm.
And I said, oh, okay, let's take part of that and I'll work on it. And so in that sense, co-creation works, right?
Mm.
As a kind of brainstorming partner, or sometimes it comes up with an idea, and I had that a handful of times where it came out with a line of dialogue or an idea when I'd said, damn, all right,
That's okay. That's
I'll
okay.
use that, So yeah, it happens. Um, Um, but yeah, but sure. I mean, the other part of your question, we need to change the way we do things. We have to change the way
Mm,
we create.
yeah.
Um, I think we, as the creative kind of in the creative space, know this, and we've known for a while because we've been always the first or second ones to get hit with it. Photographers and analog artists, and suddenly Photoshop comes in, and then suddenly digital cameras come in, and we have to adapt, right? The people have to adapt. I'm the kind of generation where when digital cameras came in, I said, yes, finally, because I didn't go to film school. I couldn't afford or know how to work on film. That was
Mm,
crazy, right? But suddenly I have filmish quality in a smaller camera, digital camera that I could easily buy and play with or rent. So for me, that was something that gave me more options when I was starting out, when I was doing freelance, when I was doing some spec commercials. And I think a lot of young people here will feel the same way with AI.
mm,
Um, to a point, because again, back in the day, the cameras that were there were kind of bulky. They weren't super great, and it sometimes was just more better. It was better to film on a different camera than to have this cool new gadget that might not work because reasons. Whereas 20 years later, they're standard and they're amazing, right? So maybe in a while, you know, um, but that change that you talked about, that mindset change, has to spread out, right? Because for the people with the money, and this is show business, right? So the money is important. It's part of the business, right? So either the studios, the big producers, or the clients in the ad space, right? They need to change that perspective because I think we creatives are already on the way of changing perspective because we feel it.
Mm.
Um, the people with the money, I think they understand it as a way of making more money, which is good, but they don't know how yet because some of those stuff won't make you money yet, I think. And some will make you money, will make less money and will take more time. Whereas, filming quickly and filming something will be much faster than fighting different generations, right? If you need a very, very specific thing, maybe. I don't know.
Oh. I want to ask you about the projects that you're currently doing. And
Okay.
basically, we know that you did everything from virtual production to interactive videos, commercial videos.
Yeah.
What are the projects that currently excite you? And yeah.
Well, I'm in a space right now where this year is kind of important to me because and it's not even AI, it's just that I'm kind of growing to the point where I want to change something and I don't kind of like the place where I am at. I don't like, not 100% I don't like. There's some things that I like, but some things that I don't like. And what I don't like is starting to be more important to me.
Mhm.
Um, so I want to kind of get out of this advertising space. I think I like to do something different, but we'll see how that happens, right? What excites me now is those micro dramas, which are
Mhm.
very bad, but they're so bad that you can't stop watching. Kind of. That's the idea for it.
I love that you're
And
talking about that because I was just asked as an actor. I've had now 2 or 3 requests, and they're like, "Can
oh
you
yeah,
fly to like to China now?" And I'm like, "What?"
oh yeah, do it, do
Like
it. Like yeah, go ahead,
now?
do it.
So I'm
This
going
shit,
like, I think I should really
this is yeah,
check into this. This
this
sounds
shit,
really interesting.
this shit is amazing. This shit is amazing. We've done a series of pilots for this company that we've pitched. We've done them a bit too well compared to the standard that's around the world, and but we're experimenting because here in Poland nobody's done that yet, so we're one of the
Mm.
first to experiment.
Well, when
And
may I ask you, when you say you do them a bit too well, I mean, I know your work and your work is just
so
visually
yeah, so there are
stunning.
two,
So is
yeah,
it
so there are
that?
two things. Yeah, so two things basically. It was kind of too good looking,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
It was a bit too good looking. It didn't impede the let's say the speed of production, so
Mm.
that's good, right? Um, but it was kind of too good looking. But again, I see a shift. The newer micro dramas are beginning to look better because the more people jump onto it, again, it's going to happen again with like TV and cinema, where producers and people with money will want to differentiate themselves, and so they're gonna, okay, what are we gonna can oh, we'll make our images a bit better, right? So I think we're gonna go down that line very 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 fast because some micro dramas are super cheap and you can see that, but they
Mm.
still work. And some are just getting to be a bit more premium. And we're going to see, the entire kind of market kind of divide on that. Anyway, and the thing that when I'm looking at the videos that we've created, I mean, we try to make them the scripts as simple as possible. But we still, I think, try to do too much. So we try to still be too cinematic too much. So the scripts are kind of, I mean, they're cool, but we want to like hint something that's going to happen in the future or like, give some backstory. And that's not the point of micro dramas, right? So we know that, all right, okay, so we have to change this way of writing. Um, yeah, so there are a lot of things that I think we need to correct. But I like that why I'm not I don't want to be remember it as the guy who does the shitty micro dramas, right? But I see the more of a business opportunity here in being the first, in being prepared, in being kind of ahead of everybody else, and just kind of and figuring out the specific production process that will help generate enough of those videos in this set amount of time, and kind of creating this entire process and kind of factory of creating micro dramas, because that's what you got to do.
Will you be the director then? Is that you're going to be directing,
No, no,
writing,
no. That
producing?
would no, no. I would be kind of the showrunner of the entire thing. So
Got it.
the idea is to be this kind of let's say executive producer for this media company. But again, they ask us, can you do 40 in a year? Like, yeah, we could, with
Of
enough
course.
different crews and stuff like that, because we know we can do we know I know my team can do 20 in a year, right? So that means, okay, I just need to do a second team and stuff, and so forth, right? Um, so there are a lot of different options on the table. But yeah, I think this is going just to be more popular. Right now, they're only most of the videos are like romance and melodrama. But the next step in the next 6 months or years is going to be, I think, mystery and horror, because that's kind of an ideal platform for like 60 something news happening every 60 seconds. Like horror, that's amazing. That's built
That's
for it, right?
amazing. Oh
It's
my
it's
God,
gonna
I'd
be
love to
for
be a part of that.
it's gonna be for a different audience, right? But still, it's something that works. So this thing it's in its infancy, especially in the West.
Mm.
So I want to be here. I want to be able to, finally do something that I'll feel I have kind of more control over, that'll generate money, that, I won't have to worry about, you know, finding clients and winning things and pitching, right? So, if I sign a contract for 40 in a year, that's great, right? So that's a totally different way of working and living. Um, I'm not sure if it's going to be better or worse. We'll see. But for now, this is the thing that kind of excites me and keeps me kind of moving forward.
I'm excited. Now I'm interested.
Yeah, so if you can do it, it's super fun. It's crazy. One of the things that again we overdid in the videos. It when you're watching it, you can feel that we're having too much fun, because we're like creating like the craziest dialogues and the stupidest reactions, and we're having a blast. The actors are having a blast. They're laughing. It's
It's
amazing. But
amazing.
then we're watching it, like, yeah, that we went too far. Um, so if you can give it a shot, it's a fun experience. It's kind of intense, but
Good.
I think this is something this is gonna explode. That's
Oh,
gonna be more popular, more and more. Yeah.
wow. So this is me gonna use this platform here. I'm sorry to put myself out there as an actor and say, guys, if you're doing micro drama, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes now. This is
Yeah. Start saying
sounds
yes.
amazing. Just
This is
yes,
fu-
yes,
this is
yes.
fun stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this has been amazing. Just wonderful talking to you, learning so much.
Well,
I'm
thank
very
you. It's been a pleasure.
impressed. I'm very impressed by your journey and your
Thank you.
seminar and way of navigating even, these rough waters. It's not always easy.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your precious time. I mean, this has been
No
so
problem.
much
It's great.
fun.
It was great talking to you, and yeah.
Thank you. I genuinely enjoyed our conversation. I think we went through all the points, like for, your life journey to like very specifics of the business side of things. And yeah, thank you so
Oh
much.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I could talk about that for hours.
We're gonna
It's
get you
it's it's
again. Or
way too
like
much. Yeah.
this
Go
is this
ahead.
is
Go
this is
ahead.
starting
We
to
can.
pop up with
We
people
can.
like when we have guests on board. We're like, we need to get you again. Like you have to come again. We have to talk. So
Yeah. We
it's
can
really
focus more on a more businessy stuff like that. And yeah.
Beautiful.
There's
Thank you so
plenty of
much.
stuff. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.